Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Human Intelligent Dialogue. Whether it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're listening in or watching this, welcome back. And like always, I try to bring a variety of speakers to you that come at us and talk about the whole human dialogue, the whole human experience at work from different perspectives. Today, we have the pleasure to having with us Ricky Baez, who's come Baezco Learning, who's coming to us talking about the HR practices and things that are taking place. So, Ricky, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate it. And tell us a little bit, let's get to know who Ricky is. Tell us a little bit about how you started in this journey and where you are here today and how, just to learn some insights about who is Ricky at the end of the day and what does he do?
Oh, so this is a 10-hour show. Excellent. So, all right, thank you, Edwin. Well, thank you for inviting me to come on the show. I really appreciate it. So, I'm Ricky Baez. I own an HR consultancy firm called Baez Learning. I've been in HR for 23 years. And, if you ask every HR professional today, how did you get into human resources? I'm pretty sure I don't have any scientific data to back this up, but I'm pretty sure almost everybody would tell you I got in there by mistake because that's exactly what happened to me, Edwin. I got in there by mistake. And if we got time, because this is a pretty cool story. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, from 95 to 99. I got out of the service and I just wanted to find a job. And I found this job doing telecom. Like back in the day, back in 1999, 2000, we didn't have smartphones, right? We had cell phones, but they weren't nearly as advanced as they are today. So I worked for a company that installed equipment that made cell phone conversations possible. And we traveled all over the Caribbean, and 9/11 happened. And long story short, I got laid off, and I wanted to keep a job in the IT technology space. And I started applying to all these different positions, Edwin. I mean, all these different positions. And I remember when I was in the service before I got out, I had a platoon sergeant tell me, he's like, Baez, I don't care what you do in life, but when you interview, even if you don't know what you're talking about, you act like you belong there. And that stuck with me, man. That really stuck with me. So I started interviewing all these places: Hewlett Packard, Circuit City, IBM here in Orlando. And I got a call from Hewlett Packard. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, finally, here we go. We're getting some traction. And I remember that he also told me, my platoon sergeant, do some research on the company. Back then, Google wasn't as relevant as it is today, as powerful as it is today, but I used it. And I'm looking, I'm like, there's no Hewlett Packard in Orlando. What company called me? It was Hewitt Associates, Edwin. Back then, now they're known as Aon Hewitt. Back then, it was the world's largest HR outsourcing firm. But I thought I applied to Hewlett Packard. I don't know what Hewitt Associate is. So they were like, I needed a job. So I decided to go to the interview. Edwin, lucky me. I was being interviewed by a brand new recruiter and a brand new team manager, that both of them together were way more nervous about the interview than I was. And I didn't know why, right? Obviously, later on, I did find out why. They started asking me questions I had no idea how to answer, so I just answered them in the most confident way possible. And I'm like, after the interview, I'm like, I didn't get the job. A week later, they call me and they're like, hey, we want to offer you a position as a benefit specialist. I'm like, awesome. Hey, I don't know the first thing about human resources. And they're like, oh, no, it's okay. We'll train you. So they spent 3 months training me. I started with benefits at Hewitt. I worked my way up to leave management. And long story short, 5 different industries. 23 years later, I got my bachelor's in it, my master's in HR. I have my consultancy firm that I've been doing full time for about 5 years now, 10 years altogether. And now I teach for the Master's of HR program at Rollins College. So I got into it by mistake, and if it turned out to be one of the best mistakes that has ever happened to me.
Awesome, awesome. It's kind of interesting. I've had several people on this podcast where they too started in completely different fields. And eventually, Dr. Jack Phillips, his wife Patty Phillips, and others who have been in more operational type jobs. And now today they've been, for the last 20, 30, 40 years, have been more involved in this field. So I get it. And like you, former military, I too, Air Force, did what today is known as DE&I. Back then it was
Mm.
called social actions. And back then, I'm talking about 100 years ago, it was known as personnel, not HR.
That's
Uh,
right.
so here we are and dealing with the issues that we're dealing with today. So interesting and cool story. So tell me, based on that journey, based on where you are today and the work that you do, what do you see as some of the emerging trends in human capital space that's really percolating and getting your attention and obviously getting your business?
A trend, whether it's positive or negative.
Whatever.
Okay. Um, I don't know if this is. I mean, I guess anything in excess is an issue. What I'm noticing is there are way too many tools to make things more efficient, but not enough tools to make you efficient.
Hmm.
Right. So it's there's always a gimmick, there's always an app that would help you recruit better, that would help you predict personalities, that would help you do all these things, right? And I know with the human intelligence workplace, I know this is part of what you do, but how you do it different, right? Is that there's a human being behind it, right? And that's you. And what I'm noticing a lot is that there is a lot of apps and a lot of businesses out there that they try to get the human out of it to manage human capital, and I just don't see how that's going to work. I don't see how it's at all. Now, I don't know, Edwin. I mean, the way things are going right now with AI and Chat GPT and all these different things coming into play, affecting our daily lives, the more I see that, the more and more I see the movie The Terminator become a documentary, because it's all these things that these movies are showing us that are bad about artificial intelligence. We're recreating it. I mean, that's a little bit of joke there. I mean, for everybody, the two people listening because I'm on, that was a joke. Right. No, but the trend that I'm doing, that I'm noticing, which from my perspective is a little bit troubling, is we're relying too much on computers, software, and not enough on the human intellect to help organizations move the needle from A to B. So when other people might say with AI becoming as popular, as relevant as it is in the business world, it's when people might say that, other people might say that it's more human interaction is necessary, not less, more. Because you cannot replicate the human instinct, you cannot replicate empathy, you cannot replicate compassion. At least not now. I mean, maybe in another 20 years that might be different, but I think that's what's missing in businesses today, and I think it's a huge disservice to all the employees that are out there.
Yeah, that's such a good point you bring up. I'm reminded of again another 100 years ago when the PC came into existence, it eliminated 3.5 million jobs, but created 20.
Yeah,
Same thing is happening with AI today. As a matter of fact, IBM just eliminated 8,000
I
positions
saw
for
that.
AI, but then it had to rehire them because of AI, because it created other work. So you're right. The silver lining is not going to be AI. It's just going to do other things. And you were joking about the Terminator. As long as, like anything, humanity has figured out a ways at times how to use things for bad reasons,
Yeah.
for bad efforts. So hopefully we don't. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, what I'm finding is this, and you're teaching it like I used to teach at Rollins and teach still today in Latin America with a university. The people skills are the people skills are the people skills that you're going to need, irrespective of where in the world you may be. So that's going to be something going forward. So let me ask you this then. What are some of the solutions you're bringing to bear with your clients?
Let me tell you, I know that I was just talking some smack about AI is to get AI on your side, right? I know a lot of people are saying that it's going to take jobs. It's going to be a huge disruption to the workforce. And look, this is a train that's going to arrive at a station and it's going to leave at a certain time. And you better be at that station and be on that train. If not, it's going to leave you. So for everybody out there that says, I'm afraid of it, okay, accept that, but get to know it, learn it, because exactly how you said, that AI will it take some jobs? It will, but it will also create new ones. One great example, because I have students all the time asking me about this, because by the way, I do teach AI in class. I think it's really important because I would be doing my students a huge disservice putting them out into the business world and be behind the curve when everybody else is using AI in one form or fashion. Right? So I guess what I'm saying is it's 40 years ago, nobody knew what a social media strategist was. 15 years ago, nobody knew what an AI engineer was. And now, what was it last year? Elon Musk and Sam Altman from OpenAI are fighting for AI engineers, and they're offering an insane amount of money. So those positions never existed 10, 15 years ago. So I guess what I'm saying is, if the fear is understood, it's legit. I completely understand why people fear it. But just like anything else in life worth doing, you got to face that fear, learn as much as you can from it. Because just as some jobs are going away because they're being replaced by automation and efficiency with AI, they are going to need human beings that know how to manage all those processes, that know how to pull all those levers, and know how to be, I guess, the master of puppets when it comes to that process. So, how I help my clients, I help them understand what AI can do. I help them understand how to use it in their business when it comes to human resources, and it's working out pretty good.
That is very interesting. So based on that, excuse me, how do you see the future of work? We've been talking about AI. There's hybrid and remote work, the whole workforce psychology that I talk quite a bit about that. Just the whole workforce evolution since you've been in this business for 20 something years. I'm a little older, so I've been in it for 40. Since we've been in this business, what have you watched from your part of the world?
I have seen I I've seen a shift. Like in the real estate market, when you're out there trying to find a house, it's either a buyer's market or a seller's market. Using that same analogy in the business world, it used to always be an employer's market, right? So, like, let's say 20 years ago, what was relevant 20 years ago when you wanted to find a job? Monster.com. Right. Monster.com was big. Career Builder was big. And it was all of these people clamoring for few positions. And now look, it's I'm 2 years from 50, right? So I can remember a time, right, where the people will go to work and they will only work for one organization for 30, 40 years, right? Somebody who's been in the same industry for 30, 40 years, their resume is 2 pages long. You change that to today, right? You got somebody 2 years out of school, the resume is 5 pages long. Nothing right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just the assign of the times. So I guess what I'm saying is that, I mean, the best way to move forward with this, the best way to make sure, is to adapt with the times. Edwin, I do not understand why so many organizations, regardless of what their employees want or demand, I do not understand why remote work is still up for debate. I don't get it. I don't understand. If organizations have the tools, have the leadership, and they have the managing process to ensure everybody is successful, working from when they're comfortable, why not employ it? Why not employ it? And I had a few clients that wanted to bring everybody back into the office, which, you know what, they're the client. I respect that. But I challenged them. I challenge you to say, think about what this is going to look like in 5 years. Because in 10, 15 years, Edward, 10, 15 years, the idea of working from home, the idea of having a hybrid work schedule is going to be just as common as an HMO is today.
Yeah.
And it's what I advise organizations to do is because remember, how I started this conversation was how before it was an employer's market, now it's switching to an employee's market. And the reason that's happening is, and you know what, you and I have had this conversation in the past. Let's say I didn't have my business. Let's say that I was, you know what, I'm working for you. I'm working for the Human Intelligent Workplace. You give me a position as an HR director. You're my CHRO, right? I'm working for you. But now you don't have to worry about me leaving to your competitor. You have to worry about me leaving, period. Because let me tell you, if I lost my job today, if I lost it today, I can make six to $800 this weekend easily, legally, because I can do Uber Eats, I can do Uber, I can do Instacart, I can do TaskRabbit. I just found out what that was the other day by one of my students. TaskRabbit, I don't know. Do you know what that is? Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's say you have cleaners to pick up, so dry cleaning to pick up. You left your dog at the groomers and you got to pick something else up. You don't have time for all that. So what TaskRabbit does, you hire somebody to do all those things for you. And people make good money because of that. I know. So right now, everything is so automated. It's really easy for me to find a job somewhere else. So you, as a business leader that hires talent like me, you have to worry about not whether I'm going to go join your competitor. You have to worry about whether I go do my own thing.
That is
So
so true.
how do you combat against that? How do you entice me not to be my own boss and to have a fruitful career with you? I think that's where organizations need to make that shift. The marketing strategies that worked 30, 40 years ago are not going to work in the future to attract good talent.
Yeah, amen to that. It's so funny how you were talking two things, how the world goes round. And I always have, I have an article out on my website. The more organizations change, the more they remain the same. So I'll give you two quick examples. You talked about real estate. Um, a lifetime ago, when I first bought my first house, I was 22, 23 years old. I paid 18% interest at the time. And they
Oh
said,
my God.
you'll never
I'm
see
sorry.
single digits again. That's what they said back then. And it went up to 21, by the way.
Oh,
Forward
wow.
to today, and people are freaking out if it's 8%.
It's like 8%, right?
And sometimes 5. Well, it's still a little high. Wow, you don't know what high is. But then the other one is that you just said about the whole, what did you call it, tax rabbit or whatever that term was?
Yeah, Task Rabbit. Yeah, which
I,
is so
tax
cool.
rabbit. Okay. I didn't know I was doing that at the age of 16 because I used to pick up the clothes at the cleaners and take them to people in the neighborhoods. That was my job, to deliver clothes to people in the building when I used to live in New York. So little did I know, a lifetime later, that would have an official title.
Edwin, you're owed royalties, my friend. You need to give them a call. You're the original OG of Task Rabbit. You need
You're
to
not,
get money.
you're not kidding, man. So it's so interesting. The last piece I'll mention is jumping on to something you just said. During the pandemic, I was teaching right from here for USF over in Tampa. And I
Yeah.
remember telling my students in Tampa, I said, today you can stay in Tampa and work for a company in Japan. And so to that point, with an aging world that we have, and a multicultural growth that we have, to your point, when working with remote or hybrid, why would I worry about you've got to be in my building except that I got to pay the real estate? That's really at the end of the day the reason
Yeah.
rationale for it. But if I can get the best talent and they're somewhere else, where do I care where they are as long as they're productive and help me deliver on the results at the end of the day?
A
So
hundred
a lot of
percent.
research is coming out with that says, hey, remote hybrid really pays off. No different than who would have thought 4-day work week. And you got companies like Lockheed Martin, you got countries that are doing that, and the research is coming out saying it's working out well. It's working
Can I
out
say
well.
something? Can I say something?
Oh, please.
And I don't know if anybody knows this, right? I'm doing that now with my employees.
There you go.
4-day work week. And here's how that works. I meet with them on Mondays, have a conversation with them, and I tell them, hey, here are your goals for the week. And I leave them alone. Maybe check in on them on Wednesday or Thursday, right? And if they need me, I I'm available. But what I tell them is, if you're done by Thursday morning, take the rest of the week. I've paid you, and I got to return them on that investment. Whereas in a W-2 environment, well, I mean they're W-2, but in a corporate environment, if a CFO sees that, wait, this person is done at 32 hours, we got to find something else for them to do so we can get return on that investment. But if you change that mindset, and I know this doesn't work for corporate America at large, but it does work for small organizations, at least for mine. If I tell them, do ABC, make sure you take care of the client, never deny a client's phone call, take care of them. If you're done by Thursday, take the rest of the week, do whatever you want to do, right? If you're done by Tuesday, that's on me, right? Because I'm not giving you enough work, right? But think about it. Put yourself in those shoes, Edwin. If you're getting paid, and I'm just pulling this number out of the air, right? If you're getting paid $2,000 a week, okay, it's just $2,000 a week, and you're done with that work in 32 hours. If somebody else on LinkedIn is trying to reach out to you, trying to poach you from me, and say, hey, we'll pay you $2,000 a week, pulling that out of the air, to work 5 days a week, you're not, that's not enticing for you.
Mhm.
Right? So it works as an amazing retention tool that nobody has heard of in the past. They've been with me for years. They ain't going nowhere. I treat them well. They do an amazing job for me. So that's
Yeah.
how I do
What a novel idea to treat your employees
it.
well.
You would think, right? I got that out of a Cracker Jack box. And if you don't know what that is, Google it. Google what Cracker Jack boxes are, because some people just do not know what that is.
And it even comes with a toy.
It
Uh,
does.
So, so to begin to pull a bow around this thing, we've been talking a lot of good stuff. What actionable advice are you giving to managers, clients out there, and even HR professionals? Because to your point, you're teaching HR to
Mhm.
HR professionals too, as you and I have done. So, what actionable advice are you giving to them? And you started talking a little bit about that earlier too, but
The more and it's I have class tonight. Tonight I'm teaching troubled employees, which we take a look at. I'm not teaching troubled employees. I'm teaching students about troubled employees. I want to make sure that's clear. In the whole goal of that class is to look behind the performance issue, look behind the disciplinary actions, look at some of the things that may be affecting that individual. So one of the things that I've been teaching my students for years is, as this world becomes more technologically advanced, more efficient when it comes to computers, AI, how we were just talking, don't be afraid to lead with empathy and lead with your heart. That's missing. That's missing a lot, especially these past few years where obviously 10 years ago, Zoom, Skype, Skype was around for a while. Well, all these new communication devices that made it easier to speak to somebody from Orlando to Japan, right? We rely on those too much to work on, especially when it's time to let somebody go over the phone or via text, via email, via videos, very impersonal. So now that organizations are clamoring towards the next big efficient machine, next big efficient app, lead it with empathy, lead with heart. That will get you the most authentic responses, and that would generate an authentic loyalty no money can buy. Trust me when I tell you that works.
yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And that is so, so true. So, the research keeps coming out. You take care of your employees, they take care of the customer, and,
Yep.
kind of like what you're doing with your organization, and that pays off at the end. So, human resources, human capital, human intelligence, whatever you want to call it, the human piece is not going away.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I remember reading once a while back on LinkedIn that this gentleman was watching, it was 5:30-ish, and people were driving off work and driving home, and he thought to himself, you know what, my most expensive and valuable resource is leaving right there.
Mm.
I need to make sure that they come back tomorrow. So, Ricky, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on and having some fun with me and really sharing some insights and some perspectives of some of the things that you're seeing, and also bring me back in time too, based on some of the points that you brought up at the end of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, if at the end of this, you'll see Ricky's contact like always. So definitely reach out to him. He's a HR generalist that's helping particularly small and mid-sized businesses with HR issues as they're growing and trying to figure out how do we grow and what are the people issues that we need to address. So thank you, Ricky. Thank you so much. Any closing words for the audience?
No, Edwin, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And if I could just speak to your audience real quick, right? It's I love the work that you do, and here's why I'm saying that. I'm just not blowing smoke. I'm not kissing buddy. It's here's why I'm saying that, because what you do, you focus on why the human mind does what it does at work, and how we can capitalize on that, and how we can address that, and how we can connect with other human beings to motivate them. We need to focus more on that, because the less of that we do, the more we let this AI thing take over. And I know I'm coming across as a conspiracy theorist that, oh my God, AI is going to take over. Look, I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. It's true. It's happening, right? So that's why I'm really big on not being afraid and teaching future HR leaders not being afraid, on being showing vulnerability, showing your human side, because that the more advanced we get in technology, the more valuable that human interaction is going to become, and authenticity is going to be key. So I know I'm beating a dead horse, and I'm an animal lover. I will never do that. That's a figure of speech, but you know what I mean. But I'll leave everybody with those words. I'll be quiet now.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So to everybody, you'll see Ricky's contact at the end of this. Ricky, again, thank you for your time. I enjoy talking with you and working with you as we have over time, and
Yes,
I
sir.
look forward to some more. So thank you again.
Thank you for your time. Have a good one, folks.
We're glad that you stopped by to visit. We're in the business of helping organizations in the growing era of AI become more HI, and that is become more of a human intelligent workplace. And we do that in a variety of ways. We can do speaking engagements. I can come in and speak to you either at executive retreats, at offsites, keynotes, things of that nature, to kind of share with you some of the trends that are taking place and what the implications may be for your organization. Sort of in a way, put a mirror up to your organization and say, these are the things that are happening. Are you ready for them? Are you doing something about them? So that's just one way. Another way we do some work with organizations is through executive coaching, helping from VPs to frontline supervisors, those to soon to be in supervisory, high potential individuals, help them in their development. Also do leadership and team development work. And along with that, we use instruments to help organizations from a consulting perspective help themselves, whether it's the Human Intelligent Workplace Instrument or questionnaire to take a sense of, hey, how are we doing in this space? Also, organizational change readiness questionnaire. Are you ready for the changes? What are you missing based on some of this information? And lastly, we also look at leader behavior effectiveness questionnaires. How well are your leaders doing? How do they assess themselves? And how are the workforce assessing them too, whether it be 360 or others? So we're here to help, particularly in this ongoing changing era that organizations are facing, a time of uncertainty, a time where the workplace or the workforce is expecting different things. So hopefully you'll reach out to us and let us know how we can help you out. You can look at some of our information that we have out on our website, some of the various podcasts, some of the articles and videos that I've put out there. And hopefully those will percolate and create some thoughts and reflective moments to think about maybe we need to have a discussion with the human intelligent workplace. Thank you.